If you are making a spellcaster in Baldur's Gate 3 and you want to do a lot of damage with one spell and one spell only, that spell being Magic Missile, well, consider this build that we're going to be making today. Let's go ahead and get a little taste of what this build can do to this poor guard. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. Today, we're going to be focusing on making a build around Magic Missile. Now, here is the layout of the video and kind of the order we're going to be going into. Now, I do want to emphasize the equipment section for this build. Usually, with builds on this channel, we usually don't talk about equipment too much because I usually like to make a foundation that's easy to build off of. But with this video here, we are going to be focusing on equipment. It'll have its own section. I'll show you where to get every piece. It's not going to make or break the build, but I do think adding the equipment just, it elevates this build to that next level of, I would say, crazy damage. So if all of this sounds good to you and you're new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And let's get started. Now, starting off with character creator, of course, in a fantasy setting, we have to make a human because that's just what we do. Class-wise, we are going with wizard. Cantrips, one of these you definitely need to lock in, and that is the cantrip light. Other than that, pick a cantrip that does damage, your choice really. I'm just going with Firebolt, and then Minor Illusion for a little bit of utility. Spell-wise, I would just stick to something like this. So you got something like Mage Armor, Long Strider, Enhanced Sleep, Chromatic Orb, just in case you need a certain element. Shield is a great reaction ability. And I went with Burning Hands. Background can be whatever you want. Ability points. I would go with something like this. Make sure you have 16 Intelligence and 16 Dexterity. If this is going to be your main character that is going to get the Hag's Hair, putting your intelligence at 17 is not a bad idea. But that is character creator out of the way. Let's go ahead and head on to the leveling section. But not so fast, Mr. Nomad. Some of you were paying attention. The ones that are sitting in the back, you didn't say nothing. Spell-wise, this is a build about Magic Missile. So I hope some of you caught on to that. We're getting rid of Burning Hands, and yes, you need Magic Missile. So for those of you that didn't catch that, I expect you to be paying attention from now on. Alright, now let's get to the leveling section. Now, for the leveling section, we get to pick up our subclass as Wizard. We're going with Evocation. This means we get Sculpt Spell. So anytime we do an Evocation spell that has an AoE and one of our allies are in it, our allies are going to be completely safe. This is great for melee characters if your party has, again, somebody like a fighter, paladin, really good there, so you don't have to worry about what spells you're casting as far as collateral damage. Spells that we pick up. Anything you want at this point. Again, we already picked up what we wanted, which was Magic Missile, and then some of those early spells. Again, Shield, Mage Armor, Long Strider, or even Enhanced Sleep. These are all really good. Let's go ahead and move on to level 3. We can kind of blast through these early levels because, again, we got what we wanted. Magic Missile is our focus. We do, at level 3 here, unlock our level 2 spell slots. Again, I would just go with more like utility picks. Something like Knock is good, Misty Step 2. These are really helpful. Or you could go with Arcane Lock. This is a good choice as well. Maybe we'll pick that up at level 4. But let's hurry along to level 4 here. And this is where we can also talk about feats. Pick up a cantrip. Again, pick what you want spell-wise. I do want to actually pick up Arcane Lock. And then I think maybe it would be helpful to have something like Mirror Image. This could be good. We do want some options other than Magic Missile for damage, just in case an enemy is resistant to force damage. Also, if you're on the honor mode rule set, something like the spectator boss, you do not want to use Magic Missile on that enemy. Their legendary effect will wipe you and your entire party, and then your run will be over. So be careful about that. So taking something like Shatter, this can be a good choice. A lot of options here, but again, kind of up to you. Let's talk about our feats. There are only really 2 feats that we're going to be focusing on. One is going to be ability improvement and bumping up our intelligence by 2. If you take the Hag's Hair, you only need ability improvement once because that Hag's Hair is going to give you +1. You start off with 17 intelligence. That'll be 18. That way, when you do ability improvement, you'll have 20 intelligence right here at level 4. That'll be really good, but we're not going to assume that for this video here. So ability improvement, we're going to focus on that twice. This is going to be a pure wizard, so we're going to have 3 feats to work with. So ability improvement twice, and the other one I would go for is dual wielder, kind of playing into that Gandalf fantasy. So we're going to have a staff in one hand, and then for our offhand, there's a couple daggers that are good. There's the Falar Luve, that's a really good option as well. Or you can just have another staff for an extra spell, something like the interruption staff or an extra counter spell. Those are some really good options, but we'll talk more about that in the equipment section. Those are the feats. Let's get back to leveling. Now, back to leveling. At level 5 here, we get our level 3 spells, and really the only one that you need to lock in is Haste. Haste is just amazing. It's going to be the concentration of our choice for this build. Other than that, having removed Curse for Act 3, this is a good choice. Let's go ahead and move on to level 6. Now, at level 6, we do pick up the subclass feature Potent Cantrip, so every time we use a cantrip, something like Firebolt, and they succeed their saving throw, the enemy does, they're still going to do half damage. It's just guaranteed damage, and this really isn't that important for the build, but it is, it is helpful just overall in general. Spell-wise, again, we already got what we wanted, but having something like Counterspell, really handy for the team. And then because, again, we're evocation, maybe we take something like Lightning Bolt. There are going to be some instances where Magic Missile, you can split the damage, right? But as far as just raw AoE damage, something like Lightning Bolt and Ice Storm are still going to be better in most situations, or again, where you have like a bunch of enemies that are packed together. And since we're evocation, we can do Lightning Bolt and Ice Storm, and we're not going to hurt our allies as far as when we use this spell. So you still want these spells in your kit just in case for those situations. That's level 6 out of the way. Let's move ahead into level 7. Level 7, we get our level 4 spells. This is where I would definitely take something like Ice Storm. Kind of talked about that earlier. And then having something like greater invisibility, especially if you have like a stealth archer or like an assassin, really handy. There's no reason why we can't do this like outside of combat as far as setting them up. Again, we are kind of set as far as damage. That means we can pick a lot of utility spells and support spells both inside and outside of combat that can help and assist our allies. In the case of something like greater invisibility here, it's just going to be great all around. That's level 7. Let's go ahead and move on to level 8, where we are going to get our second feat. So our spells, pick whatever you want. I'm just going to take Fire Shield and Banish. Those are just two that I like to stick to. Feat wise, we already picked Dual Wielder. We're going to go ahead and bump our ability score up. And as far as which feat to take first out of ability improvement and Dual Wielder, it's really up to you. In this video, I took Dual Wielder first, but there's no reason why you can't take ability improvement. But that's level 8 out of the way. Let's move on to level 9. Level 9, this is when we unlock our level 5 spell slots. Something like Cone of Cold. This is just a favorite of mine again. But some control spells, Hold Monster. This is good. Didn't mention it earlier, but Confusion. This is also another spell that I really like. But again, more utility, could go with Dimensional Door to help some of your slower allies move about. But that's level 9 out of the way. And let's move on to level 10. Now level 10, this is the reason why you go with evocation for a magic missile build, because empowered evocations. Our intelligence modifier, so in this case it's +4 at the moment, is going to be added to each dart from magic missile. This jumps the damage for magic missile up exponentially a lot. Something like a sorcerer or another spellcaster, yeah, they don't get that benefit as far as the synergy with magic missile. So evocation here, this is actually the last level in evocation that you would need before you would start multi-classing. We'll talk a little bit about multi-classing, but again, I said this is going to be a pure evocation as far as build and video, so we're going to stick to that. And as far as our spells, we're just going to kind of fill in with whatever we want as far as flavor, and then we can move on to level 11. And again, this is when I would start multi-classing, and there's some good options here. Fighter, 2 levels into Fighter, that would give us Action Surge. That's just great all around. Another really good choice for even more damage, or another bump in damage, would be to go Warlock and then Hexblade, because Hexblade's Curse here, this adds our proficiency bonus to our damage on enemies that have Hexblade's Curse. And so you can do this with your bonus action, curse a target, and again, you're going to do more damage to them. Now, the Hexblade's Curse, it's going to come back on short rest, so you can't do it all the time. It's not like Hunter's Mark, but there is that synergy there, and it is going to bump up your damage. So Hexblade is also another great option as far as multi-classing. You could make maybe an argument for Druid and the 2 levels, and then picking Circle of the Stars, and then sticking to Dragon form or Archer form. just to give yourself something to do with your bonus action, but that dragon form is going to be really good for your concentrations and making sure they never fail. So that is an option as well. But again, we're going to stick to just doing wizard, and we get to pick up our level 6 spell slots. Man, Chain Lightning, this is just always good. If we're sticking more towards like using a lot of force spells, Disintegrate, this one is just a lot of fun to use, a chunky bit of damage. So we'll go with that, and then we're going to move on to level 12, our last level. And our last feat here, we're going to just bump up our intelligence to 20. Spell-wise, again, kind of pick what you want. I'll just take Orb of Invulnerability, although you do get a lot of scrolls of this, so you might not want to waste a spell slot on it. And then Telekinesis, that's always just kind of fun. But that is the leveling out of the way. Let's go ahead and head to the equipment section, where we'll go over, I would say, the crucial pieces of equipment that you need to pick up. And most of them, thankfully, are in either Act 1 or Act 2, so this build is going to be very powerful as you're ending Act 2 and getting into Act 3. Now on to the equipment section. The first crucial piece of equipment is the staff, the Sparkler, the Spell Sparkler. You get this in Act 1 at Joachim's Rest. Once you rescue the Duke there, you're going to get an option of 3 choices of weapons. Make sure to take the Sparkler there because you can't get it otherwise if you don't select it. So this one, lock in. This is going to give us lightning charges every time we hit an enemy with a spell. And because Magic Missile, you're hitting with multiple darts, each one of those is going to build up a lightning charge for us. This is by far probably the most important piece of equipment for this build to do, I would say decent damage, but it's going to synergize with the rest of our kit, and it all starts right here. The next item I would make sure to pick up is our necklace here, and this is the Physics Spark. You're going to get this in the Underdark if you talk to Blurg. He is at the Myconid colony, and this amulet is simply just going to give us an additional dart for our magic missiles. It also gives us a free cast of magic missile, a level 1 version, but having one additional dart is essentially like if we use our level 1 spell slot to cast a magic missile, well, it's going to essentially be a level 2, because every time you upcast Magic Missile, you just put on it, or you just shoot out an additional dart. So this is going to be really good overall, just to do, again, more damage. And again, that's going to synergize back to our Sparkler here, because it's going to add up with another lightning charge. Again, beautiful synergy there that you get very early on. And hell, while you're in the Underdark, you might as well stop by and pull the Falar Eluve out of the stone, if ye are worthy adventurer. This will be a great offhand when you eventually pick up Dual Wielder as a feat. Sticking still to the Underdark, the next item to pick up would be the Boots of Stormy Clamor. These will give a penalty to your target in Strength, Dexterity, and Constitution. And once this condition stacks 5 times, the target's going to take thunder damage, and then there will also be a chance that the target falls prone. The condition that we're applying every time are these lightning charges. So a lot of synergy between these two items. You get these boots, again, in the Underdark, but you got to talk to Amalum, and you got to do his quest where he's essentially trying to help you get rid of your parasite. Just follow that along, get the ingredients, and then you'll be able to trade with him and pick up these boots. Now, the last item to pick up in Act 1 is the Gloves of Belligerent Skies. You're going to get this at the Githyanki Creche in the Inquisitor's room. It's in one of those elegant chests, and whenever we do thunder damage or lightning damage, or in Radiant, but we're not worried about the Radiant side, we're going to be adding in or adding on more reverberation charges. Again, just really synergizes with our boots and also our Sparkler here. So that is it for Act 1 equipment. We're already going to be very powerful with magic missiles at this point, but these next couple pieces that we get, they're kind of going to make us a little bonkers. So in Act 2, once you reach the last light in the basement, there's a chest for the coruscation ring here, but beware. In that room or in the basement there are these enemies, these bugs that will lock you in place and basically paralyze your party and get all these crits. This can be a very difficult room and can threaten some honor mode runs. I know I almost lost an honor mode down in that basement because I thought, oh, okay, those bugs, I'll just deal with them. No, they paralyzed my entire party. Luckily, I had Sanctuary on my cleric. They got the hell out. The rest of my party, they got decimated. I had to revive them at the camp, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to get this ring here, and every time we deal spell damage while we're in an illuminated area, we're going to be inflicting Radiant Orbs. Radiant Orbs are going to hurt the attack rolls of enemies, and this is why I said to take Light as a cantrip. So no matter where we are, we're going to have that illuminating effect, because again, Light as a cantrip, you can cast it on anybody, even your wizard here, and we're gonna be getting this radiant orb effect. The next item we're gonna pick up is our other ring, and that is the Callous Glow ring. Anytime we do damage while we're in an illuminated area, we're gonna do 2 more damage, and this counts for our spells as well. These 2 rings actually can be used mostly for, I would say, radiant characters. That's really strong, but if you don't have somebody who is doing that radiant style of damage, give this to the spellcaster, and it's you're not going to regret it. And before we move on to, I would say, some optional Act 3 picks here. You get the Callous Glow ring in the Shar's Gauntlet. It's in one of the rooms adjacent to where Balthazar is. There are some difficult lockpicking checks here, but it's totally worth it. This ring is really good universally across a lot of builds, so make sure to always pick it up. Now for some optional items, I said Act 3, but near misser here. You get this in Act 2 from Roa Moonglow at the Moonrise Tower, the merchant there, if you don't kill her in Act 1. Really, this is just I only have this on the list because of the Magic Missile spell it gives you, so just another free cast of Magic Missile, again, optional. But a really, really good offhand here is Rhapsody. You get this from Cazador, you gotta obviously defeat him, but every time we kill a target, and up to 3 targets, this is going to add a bonus to our spell damage. So a total of 3 for every magic missile dart. That is amazing. Those are the 2 optional items that I would go between. And yeah, let's move to the gameplay section and just see how much damage we can do with this setup here. Now for the gameplay section here, as far as prep skills, well, you always, after long rest, want to do Long Strider on yourself and your allies. And if you don't have a ranger or something, then there's no reason why your wizard can't do it. Mage armor, a little bit of survivability. And then if you know you're going to get into a fight like we do, then using haste before you get into the fight, always a good choice. As a damage dealer, I gotta say, if you can take on 2 Steel Watchers alone and kill them in 1 to 2 turns, that's a big check in my book for a damage dealer. Let me move myself actually down here. That way we can really appreciate the combat log. I'm just going to open up with a Firebolt. I don't want to be that cheeky where we're getting away with... Oh, we'll also use Luck of the Far Realms, even though Luck of the Far Realms has nothing to do with Magic Missile. You can't crit with a Magic Missile, but that's how we'll open up there with a Firebolt, not being too cheeky. So they're going to go first. Luckily, we do have Shield as a reaction, which is a great survivability tool. So we are still a wizard at the end of the day, an evocation wizard. So our survivability, not the best, but with Shield there, you should be fine. This is not a solo class, so you're gonna have a whole party. But our main thing is just gonna be damage, damage, damage. We're gonna upcast the crap out of Magic Missile and really just let one of them have it. I think this one here. And let's see how much damage we're doing. Sweet, sweet Christmas. This is a beautiful thing to see in your combat log. Just all this damage proccing off of just one spell. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You'll see that we also applied Encrusted Frost. This is from, we have the Cold Brim hat. You get this in Act 2 in Balthazar's room. You gotta take the heart, put it in the bookcase, but once per turn, any condition inflicted on the target also applies the 2 turns of Encrusted Frost. And as this builds up, it can do cold damage. But it doesn't build up like the other abilities that when you are building up, like for example here, a little tongue twisted here, but Boots of Stormy Clamor. When you inflict a condition, those reverberations build up really quick every time you inflict a condition. Now, Encrusted Frost, it doesn't build up that fast because it's once per turn and it doesn't count each Magic Missile dart individually. It's just Magic Missile in general. It's just one condition and then this builds up once. It's not going to continually build up until the next turn. So that's why this doesn't like skyrocket like Radiant Orbs or Reverberation. But, you know, if you have a really, really tanky enemy, then Cold Brim Hat, that's pretty good. We're also using the Robe of the Weave. Not for really any like special reason, it's just some extra AC, and it kind of, you know, it's the wizard's robe, so you kind of got to use it. We do have the Brain Drain cape. Sometimes I feel like I have brain drain, but this is okay. It's just really for enemies that are focusing on something and we want to give them mental fatigue. Those are just some more like optional items that I just threw on so we have like a full kit. But that's our first turn out of the way. I think we'll be able to wrap them up next turn, but we got to survive. And a good way to do that is to use Misty Step. and just to get as much distance as possible. Oh, Shadowheart, yeah, she's dead from some experimentations while we were working with this build. Feels kind of wrong to just leave her there, but maybe we'll pick her up after this. So they're coming in, trying to hit us. Not gonna happen. Wow, some bad luck for them. So we can probably just end this by just doing a crap more damage. Oh, we did almost like 200 damage from our one magic missile volley. That is crazy. Maybe with magic or with Warlock and we had the Hexblade's Curse on him, we would, you know, hit for over 200 damage. That would be great there. So let's finish him off. It's only gonna take a couple magic missile bolts or darts because he's already injured, and this is going to activate their self-destruct sequence. And then this last guy here, we can just lay the level 5 version, and let's see if this does it. Ooh, it doesn't do it, but maybe when he explodes, it'll hurt him enough to make him explode. We'll just stay right here, see what happens. Oh no, he goes first. Okay, we're gonna dodge his bolts. So he blew up, and then it's just this last one here. We can just do a level 1 version. Yeah, and that's it for them. I mean, yeah, listen. Any damage build or character that can deal 2 steel watches in 1 to 2 turns all on their own, that's a lot of damage in my book. For the dragon later on in Act 3, using something like this, really, really strong. I always talk about Magic Missile, and I thought, you know what, it's time to make a build just solely dedicated to Magic Missile, and here it is. Alright y'all, that is the build, that is the video. This is a really easy to use Magic Missile build, and the pieces of equipment that we listed out, you're probably already going to pick them up in like a normal gameplay campaign. So I figured why not just put them on the list here in the video and just make that section just pretty straightforward. But yes, if you've made this far, I appreciate the hell out of you, and I will see you next time. Peace and take care.